quit being so emotional and then like take action.
I feel like we've been doing good at like keeping the same general time. Not like we're trying to do that, but it's interesting how our conversations are just like we're getting our own format down.
Yeah, they seem to wrap up around the same time frame each time.
Yeah, which I think is interesting.
I was thinking about it while we were getting ready. Like, out of all the podcasts we watch, what do you think your favorite setup is? You know, like how they have everything set up. I think we've tried a few different versions or a few different things, and I think I'm liking the table the best. I like the table, obviously aesthetics around and everything. You know, we have a pretty simplistic thing with it that'd be fun to, you know, make it a little bit more, I don't know, just like a vibe or a theme or just like something rather than just like what we have. But I like the table a lot, which is kind of surprising to me. It just makes me feel like we're doing this.
Sure.
To where when we did chairs for a while or just like regular, just sitting in chairs or furniture, like it didn't seem, I don't know, it almost seemed like
too cozy.
Yeah, like we were trying to be cozy in a comfortable setting, but then it was like so informal that I don't know, it made it seem like we weren't really even doing anything.
Sure.
I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I feel like people who work from home say that a lot of, like they like
put
to
regular clothes on still or something.
Yeah, or they just like, they like to have a spot to where they go work rather than just like, I'm just going to sit on the couch and do it. And it's like, it's hard to get into that mode in a way to where like the table and this whole thing like makes me get into the mode of it rather than just like sitting, chilling on a chair in a couch or something.
Yeah, I liked the couch. Like we did like that for a month or a couple of months. That was kind of just a different. I liked doing it in different areas of the house because we had so much unused space. But I think for the ones that I don't watch it that much, but Bert's podcast, I've liked his last two setups. I liked the one where it was the two chairs with all the pictures on the wall with him. Yeah. We had like the blue neon sign. That mixed with the burnt orange chair. Like I liked the vibe of that. Like I think that would be cool. I would like my living room to just look like that. And then his new setup is cool because it just seems like you're in a den just like having a conversation.
Yeah.
And it's on camera. Like I like how it looks informal.
Yeah. I think that looks like it looks good, but I feel like it would also still, it would have me feel like, oh, we're doing something here.
Sure.
It's not just like go hang out and sit there.
Yeah. Which I'm sure that's probably what he feels like because that's like their own, like he just uses that for podcasts. Like that whole house is just for podcasts. So it probably still feels like a studio. And then the other favorite that I like, which I probably like even more, is the Modern Wisdom because he changes it, but the same idea of like very large space isolated to the table. Like you can see the bigger space and like whatever he's renting out, like almost like just like a bunch of warehouses.
Yeah.
I like whether it's intentional or not. I like the concept of that, of like everything outside is like very vast and big, but then you just keep bringing the direction back to like one table, one conversation, one guest. It feels more intimate because you notice like, oh, big room, but they're just here at this little table talking. That's
what I like about the table too is like we're facing each other talking. I didn't really like that about the couch or the chairs. It was like we were kind of angled and it was hard to like be looking at each other and talking. And it's like, who talks like this? Where I'm like, hey, I'm looking over here.
Well, I think that maybe is a difference depending on what kind of style you have. We want it to be like we're having a conversation with each other versus some of the other ones we watch. They're definitely doing it to the audience. Like they're performing to the audience or talking to the audience somewhat.
Yeah, a little more, yeah.
That almost like then you wouldn't want so much cut off because then it wouldn't maybe be as inviting.
Yeah, that's true. Although like Tiger Bellies, they're just at a table.
But they're camera shots are like basically head on.
Yeah, I guess I don't get what you're saying then. I mean, that's maybe just the exception.
Sure.
It's one, but
sure.
I think those comedy ones seem to be more like what you were talking about. They're a little bit more open, and it's like they're performing not just to whoever's in the room, but kind of the whole scene of it.
Yeah.
To where theirs is interesting because it's just at a table.
Yeah.
It kind of breaks that rule in a way.
Yeah. I wonder if their solo episodes are like that, or if that's just how they do guests.
I think their solo ones are that too.
And there's like one on each side?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah,
I like the table though.
I do too.
I think kind of like what you're saying of the almost like what we're choosing to do for this, like having a conversation back and forth, or just like a more, I don't know, serious, I guess. That's like we're in it. You might want to.
Yeah.
That I think the table works really well because it makes it seem formal, kind of like we were talking about with the Chris with Modern Wisdom. Like it's very like we're talking to each other and we're having a conversation and whatever. And I think that's I like that. It's also nice to just like be able to set your stuff on things, and
there's something about your posture, I think, that makes it feel more like a fun, casual conversation versus like I'm trying to get something out here. I'm trying to like communicate about a topic that I'm serious about, to where I think with the last time we did it, we were just kind of like shooting the shit somewhat with some things. And then when we were talking maybe more fitness geared, it was like, it's stuff that's so...
it's hard to get into it when you're like reclined. You're just like chilling, trying to be serious.
Yeah. So on your next back day, this is what you got to focus on as your like feet are up.
I'm like, this is just so crazy how people do this. Like,
but that stuff is just so like, this to me is like we're diving into topics and trying to like deepen our understanding and knowledge of ourselves, to where I think before it was like we were just talking stuff that we know so well. Like it's like, yeah, this is what you got to do this, and this is like why the fitness behaviors happen, and it's like it wasn't anything to explore. It was just, I'm just reciting things to you that you should know, or we think you should know, and that we know.
Sure, yeah.
To where this is like I'm getting into it and feeling like I need to.
It's more exploratory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To where that it just seemed like we were spitting facts.
Yeah. Yeah.
To where that's like I can chill back and just talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know. Seemed off.
Everything was off. Just kidding. So dramatic.
This is off. Yeah.
We're figuring it out.
Yeah, I think I like the table though.
One thing though, I will say, looking back at the old episodes, like I didn't realize how pale we were living there. Compared to now,
you would notice that.
Oh my gosh, we were just blending into the gray walls. I was like, oh my gosh.
So it doesn't matter.
There's no life to our skin.
You care about the things that matter so much.
No, it's not that it matters. It was just, it was enough for me to go like, oh wow, like it was noticeable right away.
But you would notice that.
Well, yeah, of course I noticed like how we look and. You know, whatever.
Yeah, only one in the world.
That's very much not true.
Yeah. It's the most true thing that has been said on this podcast to date.
I don't know. Do you not get that a lot? Like people saying like, gosh, you're tan.
No,
like I get people commenting on how tan I am a lot.
Literally not once in my life.
What?
No.
That's okay. I get it a lot.
Nobody cares about looks as much as you do.
I'm saying people are saying that to me. Like they're commenting on how tan I am.
Yeah, because you go, don't I look so tan?
No, no, I do not.
You bait them into it.
No, I do not.
You just start bringing up like tan colored objects. Like, look how tan that wallet is. Wow, look how tan this coaster is. It's like something else is really tan right now.
No. I'm just like wearing neon all the time, so it just makes me look even tanner.
Yeah, exactly.
Just no. I have a headache already from that. That smiling, laughing. It's like one of those, like, it's a tension
I thought
smile.
You'd be like, I already have a headache because of you.
Well, kind of. It's like, it's when you, that tension headache in the back of your ears. Do you ever get that? When you like smile and you just, it's not a good smile. Not a good laugh. Or when you're like forcing to have to laugh at someone, then you get that.
Oh,
no,
you're
I'm not
forcing
saying,
it now?
I'm not saying that.
The slam of the century.
I'm not saying that.
You know when like you're jokingly having to laugh because someone's trying to be funny?
No, I know for myself, it happens a lot when I'm doing that.
Why are you doing that?
I'm not doing that right now. I'm just saying that's another.
No, why do you ever do that ever?
Laughing when someone's.
Why are you forcing laughter?
When it's just like a small talk kind of conversation and I maybe don't know them that well and they're bringing something up and just like when you have to smile a long time.
We're so opposite. I don't do that at all.
Yeah.
Why do you do that? Why do you lie to them?
I don't lie to them. It's just when you're having in my head, a polite conversation with someone that you don't really know and you're, communicating. It's like, what, am I going to be dead-faced the whole time? It's like not me. No.
No, you're going to be normal. Why can't you just be you?
That is me. It's just sometimes it hurts.
Faking it?
No, not faking
Lying
it.
To people?
It's like, do you not smile at anybody ever?
Not to where I get a tension headache.
We have different worlds. We have different lives then. That's just like, I don't know. Yeah, I do. I don't think that's a lying thing. I'm just.
So wants to be done with this.
I feel like, well, no shit, we're different. Like, especially with this, like,
I just find that odd.
You don't smile at people? Yeah, we know. I smile at people too much? Yeah, we know.
I just thought it was odd. You're fake smiling and laughing so much that you're getting tension headaches.
Yeah.
It's like, well, just stop faking it.
So like, even if someone says something and they're laughing at themselves, like they're thinking it's a funny conversation, you'll just like.
Yeah. Well, they need to know it's not funny.
But I'm not in the game to make someone feel like they're not funny. I'm in the game to just have a conversation and make everything be cordial and simple. It's like, why do I need to show them like that wasn't funny? Don't do that again.
I mean, I get that to a certain point, but I don't know. I guess
I feel awkward.
The extremeness of you're getting a tension headache. It's like, well, you're doing it too much.
Maybe I'm having a lot of those conversations.
I don't know, but I'm also like, well, I guess this wouldn't be much different between you either. But I'm like, I rarely ever want to have those conversations with strangers or whatever that I'm like, I'm not going to engage in this.
Oh, no. And do I choose to do that? No. But I think with work, it's like I'm in those situations quite frequently that, I don't know.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not going to, the whole goal is just for this to end smooth and for you to leave thinking that this was a good conversation and I was being polite to you.
Yeah, but they may continue to talk.
Sure. And in a certain business examples, it's like, yeah, that's kind of like I'm supposed to be that person.
I guess if you're relating it strictly to work, yeah, I get that because
that's really the only time I talk to anybody else. Yeah. Where it's like a customer service-y kind of thing, where it's like I'm supposed to be a.
I don't know. Even then, I'm not really that way.
Yeah.
I don't have the energy for it. I'm not good at faking it anyways.
Yeah.
I'm not good at hiding my emotions. I wear it on my face very easily.
Well, it's probably good the jobs that you have then. So that's not necessarily a requirement of it.
But it's just like to me, to try to fake it, then it's like it's just not going to work. I don't have that skill.
Yeah, and I think that's a skill I know I need to have for certain things. That's like.
I don't know if you need to have it though. I think it's a good way to like survive. But
well, yeah. I mean, you think of like a conversation I was having yesterday. It's like I was talking to someone on the phone who was very angry at me, and I can't just be like, yeah, well, I don't know. Like how I would talk to you. Like, I just disagree. Or like, we're just going to see this different or whatever. It's like, I have to somewhat be like, I understand that you're upset. Like, I want to try to find a solution for you. Like, whatever it is, even though, you know, that's maybe not how I truly feel, but how I truly feel is like, that would just, I'm the business aspect of that. Like, they're the customer. That I can't just be like, yeah, well, sorry. It is what it is.
yeah, I don't know. I think the specifics of that is different though. Like with what you're talking about, because like there was a direction that was needing to happen.
But it's still, regardless of what you're talking about, it's still the how I'm saying it, how I'm talking.
Even if you disagree with it, or like if you agree with it or not, there was a result that needed to happen with it, to where it's like you don't, I don't know, it's like it doesn't matter if you agree with it or not, it needs to change.
According to this customer.
Well, according to, I don't know.
It's like, I disagree with the whole situation, period. I don't think anything needs... I don't know what
I'm allowed to say with this.
Yeah, maybe we should not talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting into a territory and I'm like, I don't know if I should.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I try to see that a lot, like the customer service way, voice and tone and how I'm approaching things. What word am I using? Because I'm just trying to like have everything be very even keel with people. And sometimes I feel like I need that in day-to-day life.
Oh, man, I don't know. I agree with you to a certain point, because there comes other times or a certain, length of time where it's like, okay, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Like,
oh, sure. And sometimes I don't have...
My groceries are done. I need to leave now.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
why are you still trying to have a conversation with me? Or,
yes.
I don't know, just in a lot of other instances, it's like, I'm not going to, just to appease you and to make sure, especially it's like, I'm never going to see you again. Why?
But even if that...
Why waste my time?
minute and a half going through the checkout aisle, let's say, and that cashier is really surfing it out and like wanting to be the razzle dazzle of this exchange, it's like that alone, tension headache. Like that minute and a half.
Yeah, that's not me. Like, this isn't worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah. And you're not, I should say never. You're not like rude, but I would be scared to come across how you come across. I would feel so awkward doing that.
Yeah, well, we found ways to
like
survive,
I'd feel better awkward I would feel better faking it a little bit than doing what you do. I'd be like, I'm sorry, I just because you just like, you see them just like get cut off. That's like, I would feel so uncomfortable.
Really?
Like being that way. Yeah. Like I'm with you when you do it. It's like, okay, that's his thing. But then sometimes I feel like I gotta overdo it to make up for like, oh, he just made this so weird. Now I'm gonna be extra to you. But it works because
so
people,
weird.
You cut people, not cut people down, but like you stop the exchange most of the time. So you get what you want. It works. I would just feel very uncomfortable doing that.
This is making me sound like such an asshole. So funny.
It's just, it's not
It's so
approachable.
funny. Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah.
I don't want to be talked to.
Yeah. And I think in some scenarios, I really need to be approachable. It's my job. Maybe it's my job to be approachable, or like, I don't want to come across like, oh, that lady was a bitch.
Well, maybe this is where I'm have some arrogance with it, is I feel like I know when to do it and when not to do it.
Sure.
I would never do it at work.
Sure.
It's like, I don't want to make this environment bad. I don't want to, lose my job. I don't want to whatever. But so in instances where it's maybe more important, or you're going to have to be around those people, and I don't know, just like you're going to be communicating with them a lot, but it's like the freaking cashier at the grocery store. It's like, we don't need to do this small talk thing. Like I'm scanning 4 groceries and getting the hell out of here.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And I don't know, when I was a cashier, it's like, I don't want to do it either.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like, now that I'm not a cashier and I'm the person just getting my groceries, I'm like, we don't need to do this.
Yeah. We're different. I don't need to do it either. I just, if it's put upon me, it's hard for me to just like, yeah, okay.
You remember when we were at the gym with your dad and that guy came up when I was on the scale, was talking?
Yes.
It's like that. It's like,
and you just like walked away.
Yeah, like I have no time for this. I'm like, oh yeah, see ya. Walk away. I'm not here to talk to you. I don't know you. I don't like. Who are you?
I can be quick with people so that it doesn't continue a conversation, especially in an environment like that where it's like, we're both going to be here for the next hour. I don't want this to like continue. But.
Well, and that's why I was doing that. It's like, I'm not going to spend 20 minutes talking to you while I'm here. Like.
Yeah.
Because and we watched him the whole rest of the time. He just was walking around talking to people the whole time we were there. And it was like, I'm trying to like work out and then leave. Like, I'm not trying to be here for 4 hours with you.
I think I can do a better job of shutting people off with my body language versus what I say to them. Like, if I was in that situation with that guy, I would maybe like, oh yeah, and then like immediately walk away. So he knows like, I don't want to continue this.
Yeah, that's what I did.
But, well, yes, I'm saying like in other scenarios, I wouldn't be able to like, oh yeah. Like it would have to be still a peppy tone. I couldn't be like dry with my words and my body language. It's like, oh my God, that you're just a bitch.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't know that you're standoffish and don't want to talk.
Yeah, I don't. So, okay, well, now he knows.
Yeah, but I'm not a bitch.
Well.
Okay, well, I want to avoid people thinking that I am.
Why?
Because I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I had a weird interaction with this person at the gym. Like, that sucks. Like, I don't want to be the asshole of their day.
Well, you don't have to be.
I guess I also can't control what they're going to think either.
Yeah, you can't.
I could be super nice to them and they're still like, but she didn't want to hang around and talk to me. So she sucks.
I wasn't like, stop talking to me. Walked away. I was just like, oh yeah, sure. And then carry on.
Yeah, you belittled them.
I didn't belittle him. You belittled him. I didn't belittle him. He was like, whoa, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, cool. Great.
He also slammed you.
What did he say?
He was like, I wish I could be that skinny.
Yeah, I bet you would.
Okay. Yeah, I bet you would.
Well,
you never could get there. That's what I would do as I walked away.
That's what I was just like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And leave. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I wasn't like just turned around and started screaming at him. It's just like, I don't want to be in this.
Yeah.
Because it's like I also have a right to like, I don't need to do this for you.
Yes. I
don't need to do this for you. Like, you want to talk to people. I'm not
that person.
I'm not that person.
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste my time and energy because you want somebody to talk to. It's like, I've got 2 other people here that I came with that I want to talk to.
Yeah.
Not you.
Oh, yeah, that's tricky for me.
That's why I'd be horrible at meeting new people. Because I'm like, I like the people that I already know. I'll just stick with them.
That's what's interesting, though, with meeting new people. I don't necessarily like meeting new people either until it's like already enough in to the relationship where I'm like, oh, cool. I have like a new person that I know and that I like, and that's in my thing. Like, I think that was like work. It's like you're just around them so much and it like happens kind of naturally. It's like, oh, cool. I have so many more people in my life now that I really genuinely like, but it wasn't Like, I didn't realize until it was already, we have a relationship.
Yeah, well, that's where it almost has to. I'll never seek it out. It almost has to be forced upon me, and then it's usually fine.
Yeah.
It's usually, it works or it's a good thing or whatever. But like,
yeah,
and we've talked about it before. Like, we're not the type of people that are gonna go out to bars or restaurants to go meet new friends and do that thing. So it's like I'm not in the market for that. That's like,
yeah,
going to a new job or something like that or whatever, and these are the people that you're going to be around. It's like, yeah, this works and we'll make it work.
mm-hmm.
But I'm not like going to seek out new friends in my free time.
Sure.
And I'm not, I don't know. Maybe it's an age thing, because like that guy at the gym is an older guy that's like, he's probably bored. He's probably got nothing else to do and wants people to talk to.
I don't know this age thing, because we have how many people that go to our gym that they're younger and they very much so socialize.
Yeah.
And like have their people that they go and talk to when they're there. And I think it's just more of a personality type.
Yeah, probably.
And maybe if you're like I think that's where maybe it's different for us, is we don't need to have friends. So then it's hard to like put in the effort to do that, because I think when you think about it, if you're forcing yourself into that situation, it's going to be awkward and maybe difficult, and you got to put yourself out there and do all that. It's like, oh, we don't have to, so let's just not.
Well, and how selfish is this? Like, I just don't want to deal with anybody else. Like, could you imagine like coordinating plans with other people and should we go here? No, I don't really like that place. It's like, oh, okay, well, what about this? And what time works for you? And I got to get up early. And it's like, oh my God, let's just go for a walk and talk.
Yeah. Yeah. But maybe if you were by yourself all the time, you'd search it out more, just because then you'd have some sort of like interaction with somebody. But
maybe, I don't know. Or just be a hobbit in my own little
hole. I wonder if that would get old or not. I think you would do better by yourself than I would.
Oh,
I think
100%.
Just because, like, I wouldn't want to go do certain things by myself that I would want someone to go with me. Like, I'd feel uncomfortable, like, going out to eat by myself, maybe, or
see, that's
going to do things.
I don't really need to go out to eat. Like, I would just order it and go home. I'd much rather be in that anyways.
Yeah.
That I don't need to, like, go sit at, Chili's.
Yeah.
In a booth.
Yeah.
Or something. Or it's like, I would never go like sit at a bar by myself or something like that. Like,
well, I would like to go and sit at a bar, but I think, am I going to go like at noon in the middle of the day? Like, I feel like I'd have to go when no one is there. Otherwise, I'm going to look like that person that's going there to talk to somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't want to just be like, I don't want to do the thing I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to then make this thing up, and now you're going to think I like you because I'm talking.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh, that just sounds like a freaking puzzle. It's like, if I could just go with somebody, then maybe it would.
Yeah. I wouldn't be really going and doing much, I don't think.
Yeah. I'd get a dog probably too.
Jeez,
so I could feel safe, like going
sad.
on. So I could feel safe, like going on walks and stuff, and not being by myself.
The dog that you
I just always think I'm gonna get
you.
snatched up, so I would just be afraid, like leaving the house.
Snatched up. Yeah, they're gonna be like, she's so tan. Let's snatch her up. Because that's apparently what everybody pays attention to. Yeah, which is weird because I used to be the extrovert. And I have just totally, let's go inside my little home. And it's so much better.
That's so interesting that you used to be like that. Like, thinking of you back in the day, just in general. It's like you are the same, but you're also... It's like, how would you even consider being... No, I appreciated it. I loved you for it. We were friends for it. Like, I liked who you were. It's just so I think most people don't have that big of a switch.
Well, when your dad dies, a lot happens.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. Maybe that is like maybe you just need that crack in your system to change that much because it was like there's not so much of a gradual like, oh well, there's little sprinkles in here and there. It is and there isn't, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, how does it? Yeah, how do you not change overnight? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
When something.
Yeah.
When a major thing happens, it's like it just so much gets put into perspective so quickly. That's like, oh, I'm wasting so much time with these fucking idiots.
Oh, sure.
You know?
Sure.
I'm wasting so much time with people. I'm wasting so much time doing certain like activities or things.
Yeah.
Or it's like, what a waste of time.
Yeah.
Just, I mean.
You do start to analyze the quality of your life.
Well, and it kind of goes a little bit to, you know, one of the topics we talked about before of just like having reasons and justifying everything is like, you just go like, oh, there's no justification anymore. It's like, they're like, what a waste of time. And I don't need to like come up with a billion different reasons why or why not. It's like, you can just feel it. It's like, yeah, that's just such a waste.
I think there's also a time and place for certain things too. Like I think some things can really serve your life at certain times and that's like, oh, that doesn't suit me anymore. Like I think of like the hanging out with friends and that kind of stuff. Like when you're in high school, I think that works and it maybe serves you well and it doesn't, you know, mess anything up for you or whatever. But then when you get older and you have jobs and you're not all going to the same place every day, now it's like a task that, well, I just saw you. And it's like when we were listening to the Bill Burr podcast, he's like, whoever calls me and I call them, that's who I keep in touch with. But if I'm always calling them or they're always calling me, let's just cut the friendship because clearly someone doesn't care that much.
Right.
That how many people were you friends with? And I'm just saying this as a general sense, not you specifically, when you're in school, just because, well, they're there. Like you're around.
That was 100% my situation. I mean, it's like
sure.
When we were out of high school, it's like that sort of thing. Like the communication with everybody started to go away, which there's also a reason for that. Like everybody's going off on their own and doing different things, but it became very apparent to me quickly that I was like, oh, we were all just in the same area.
Sure.
For, 10 years.
Sure.
It's like now that we're not in the same area, I don't know, you start to realize like, oh, that wasn't that deep of a friendship.
Versus like, who are you going to keep putting in time to? And
like you said, it's like, are they putting in time back versus you putting time in? It's like, if that's not really an equal ratio, yeah, somebody's in it a little bit more than the other. And then it can just become like a stress and not fun. And you feel like you're always, I don't know, like seeking and prodding and like you almost start to feel desperate or like you're trying to keep everything alive. And it's like, you can just stop. It'll be okay.
Well, and that's one thing that I was actually just having a conversation with somebody about this the other day. Like, I think what I projected, what I wanted my life to be and what like the, not goal, but like what I thought I had to put attention on during that time. It's like my friends were actually really cool for me. Like seeing how I don't put in time to people now because it's like I just have to focus on the work or the whatever. It's like I was still doing that back then. They just were like around and kept like, doesn't matter. Like we'll be around when you want to come. That, like never not inviting me to things or always wanting me to be involved, not giving me shit when I wasn't going to be involved or when I was going to go to dance or whatever. But like I was not always putting in 100% effort because I was putting so much into the dance stuff, but that they were still really awesome and just like, that's okay. Like we'll still be here when you come back. And that I think is really cool.
Yeah.
But then again, fast forwarding now, it's like I don't put that time into many people.
No, and I think there's just there's a preference and a certain wiring and stuff too, that it's like you may not need a lot of people in your life to be fulfilled. There might be just a couple people that you need, or even like that. I don't know. It's like everybody's different, or it has their own threshold of like what they like. And I think as time goes on, the more and more it's like a smaller group, just more and more smaller group. It's like, that's what I enjoy the most. And I like, and I don't know. It's not to say that anything was a waste of time, because I had fun. Like, I had fun in big groups and a lot of people, and switching it up all the time and being around different people and whatnot. But I don't know. It's like, again, are you like, who is the same when they were in high school?
Oh, sure.
Or growing up, going through school. It's like everybody leaves and realizes like, oh, that's so weird. Like, I was just fitting a certain mold in a way. It's like there's the star-shaped cookie and there's the circle cookie, these cutouts. And it's like everybody's just fitting a cutout. And then you get out of that and you're like, oh, that's not really who I am at all.
Yeah.
Maybe not at all. I shouldn't say at all, but I don't know. I saw it was like, oh, there's a lot of things in here that like, that's not who I am.
Oh,
that's
sure.
not what I feel comfortable in. That's not like what, I don't know, what I want to act like, be known like, any of that stuff. That's like, I'm just fitting this idea of what I think I'm supposed to fit. And how many people are still doing that now, like out of school and whatnot, because I don't know, not to bring it back to disagreeing with you more and more, but like, who gives a shit if people think that you're an asshole? It's like, I don't need to fit your agenda of what you think I need to be.
Sure.
I don't need to, be rude to you, but I also don't need to sit here and talk to you just because you want to be talked to.
Yeah.
It's like, I have a place in here of what I want to be, or what I want to be like, or how I want to operate. And I don't know, I have a freedom to do that. So it's like, if you want me to be the person that's going to do all these things and, bring you flowers every day I come home, and,
oh my God.
Say all these nice things and do all that type of, it's like, that's not who I am. That's not what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think including myself, there's stuff that I'm still like, that's not who you are. Why are you doing that? Like, why are you talking like that, or acting like that, or saying that? It's like what we always talk about, like, you get around certain people and you start to be a different version of yourself. And I think there's a positive and negative to it, I feel like, because there's some where it's like, yeah, that's just like your relationship with that person, and that's what you bring out, and there can be some fun in that. But then there's also like, you got to really look at that and analyze that, because it's like, are you just like doing that for weird reasons, or not even consciously knowing you're doing that? Or I don't know, it gets weird. It's like, whenever I get around this certain person, like, I just start to like be rude or gossip. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I don't want to be the person that gossips. And it's like, well, stop doing that.
Yeah.
And then it kind of sucks, because you're like, oh shit, that's actually all we have is gossip.
Yeah.
And you're like, well,
oh my gosh. Yeah.
What do I do with this person now? It's like, do I just gossip because I want to keep them around, or do I,
try to break a new barrier and figure something else out with them?
Stay true to like what I want to be, and not gossip anymore.
Yeah.
That's where then I would probably lose that person.
A part of one thing that I'm going to have in my notes, but that's interesting that you bring that up, the like fitting a mold of someone. And then, because I guess like what I have in my notes was like people having a problem with that, because it's different, to where I don't consciously think I had an issue with that when I was younger, I guess, like, high school age. It was, I could say kind of how I am now. Like, I like to have bigger conversations about just, I don't know, like what we talk about. And
yeah, a little bit.
Not so much of like, what did you do last weekend, or what,
yeah,
it's like the surface stuff. I'm not great at it. and I don't like doing it, that some people I would have really great conversations with, and then some people were like, what are you doing? Like, this is too weird or deep or whatever. Like, let's just talk about stupid kid stuff. Back then I was like, I just don't really like talking about that stuff. So it's okay, but I'm just not going to do that. Like, I understand, like, this isn't what people are wanting, so just stop. But now, as I'm getting older and people are seeing me maybe as what I think I am or who I want to be, and they're like, oh, this is weird. You weren't always like this. Or, like, you're changing, or you get like this because of this.
But it's just you've kept it
like,
dormant.
Yeah, it's like, no, this is just how I am, and I'm kind of like allowing that to show up, I guess.
I feel like that's
that I'm more weird about it as an adult.
You're more weird about it or less?
I'm more weird about people being like, oh, that's okay. This is different for you. Yeah, to where before when they're like, why do you want to talk about that? Or why do you want to get so deep all the time? I was like, no, that's okay. I just like to, but it's okay that you don't, and we just don't need to talk.
Why do you think you're getting weirder about it? So you feel more personal?
That's why I think it's weird. I don't really know. Maybe it seems like the tactics made sense more. Like, I'm having a conversation with 2 16-year-olds having a conversation. I get that they maybe don't want to talk about, like, what brings you the most joy in life? Like, I get that that's not a conversation they want to have. I knew that I was the weird one there. So maybe now it's like, this isn't weird how I am. It's just different from what I was.
And that makes you feel more weird?
Yeah, because, like, well, why is it weird? Like, I don't understand it as much. To where before, it's like I understood why they didn't want to do that.
Could it be the same reasons as then versus now?
Maybe. I don't know. It would be kind of the example of, like, before I was really quiet. And now I'm just a little bit more talkative and outgoing. And when we're in a group, like, I will offer my opinion. To where before I would just be, like, in a corner not talking and don't want to disrupt anything. To where it's like, well, that's not necessarily weird. It's just you're not used to hearing me talk.
So is it you're putting yourself out there a little bit more than you used to, and that's just, there's a vulnerability in that.
Yeah, because people are like, whoa.
Therapist.
This is weird.
Yeah,
like, I don't think it's weird. It's just different for me.
Yeah.
But that's one of the notes that I was talking about. I was like, letting go of that maybe not judgment, but just like that. Maybe if it is judgment of them not wanting you to be a certain way, or you not wanting to be different than what they are comfortable with, because they've also created a relationship with you for so many years that maybe now if it's a little bit different, that's just uncomfortable because they're not used to that.
Yeah.
That having, like, if you're wanting to change in whatever way that looks, like, if you're committed to that, just do it, and you need to deal with that transition period of it being weird.
Well, because just like they got used to how you are currently, they're going to get used to how you are in the future.
Right.
And they're going to find their own ways to, work with that or work around it, because you can't control if people like you or not. Maybe that's going to make people not like you. And I mean, that sucks, but it's also like, so.
But I can't be that person for you anymore.
Yeah. And it's like, so you're okay with them liking you, like, not a accurate version of you.
Right.
It's like you like it more that you have to be fake with them for them to like you, versus like you just being able to be who you are, kind of thing. So I don't know. It's tough. I mean, it's obviously tough of, like, changing or just, like, being more vocal or outspoken about what you want to be more like, and that being different than what people are used to, because you're going to get the judgment regardless. It doesn't matter. But I don't know. Like, I think it all works out. It's one of those things where it's like you feel like you're, like, having to take this giant leap of faith, but it's really just like stepping off a curb. After you step off, you realize, like, oh, that wasn't that big a deal. It's like I built this up so much more in my head than what it actually was going to be.
Yeah.
There's something that happens with age too, where it's just like you get older and older and older, and I don't know, it's like saying this as a 26-year-old, it's not really that
Older and older.
It's not that, big, but it's like it seems year by year I care less and less what people think about me. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like,
yeah,
I'm weird.
Yeah.
It's like, so are you. I can point them out for you if you want.
Sure.
It's like, we could do this all day, It's like we can both point out how each other sucks, but where does that go?
Sure.
It's like, I'm aware I suck.
Yeah.
You suck too. So
yeah.
Can we move on? Can we shake hands and move on and just like be normal now? Cool.
So aggressive, but yeah. So aggressive.
I just don't like wasting time. That's the other thing. As I get older, I don't like wasting time anymore.
Yeah. It's like what we said in the last
guy at the gym. Why am I going to waste my time?
Yeah.
And I don't care if you're going to look at me the whole rest of the time I'm in the gym and be like, God, that guy's so mean. It's like...
He'll get over it. Yeah.
Okay. I don't care. I'm probably never going to see you again to begin with. And even if I do, it's like, now you know where I stand.
Sure.
I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah. 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 Maybe he can analyze himself. Stop talking to everybody in the gym. It's a gym.
Well, and it's like,
he did one exercise and then did an hour and a half of just talking to each person in the gym.
Yeah. And I'm not like telling him how to be.
No, right. But
I'm
like,
just
don't
going,
involve
like,
me in your thing.
Yeah. I'm just going, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move on. I'm not going like, you should stop fucking talking to people
right.
all the time. Maybe work out, blah, blah. It's like, no, do whatever you want to do. You want to go to the gym and talk to people, do that. I'm just not going to be that person for you.
I would have gone up to him at the end of when we were leaving. So remember earlier when you said, I wish I could be that skinny? I figure out your problem. It's you don't do anything and you just talk to everybody.
Yeah.
So just leaving you with a little tip.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Life is weird, huh?
Which it's so weird. Yes and no. Like, I think I just told you that maybe yesterday or a couple days ago, that life is just starting to seem more of like an equation to me. Like I said, like the water bottle thing. It's like, things don't surprise me necessarily, or don't seem like they don't have a reason why it happened. Like a lot of things I'm like, oh, well, yeah, no shit.
I feel like that's what, like, I've heard my parents say. I've heard, like, just people older than us all the time, where it's like, yeah, I'm not surprised by anything anymore.
Yeah,
like,
and it's not even like
more and more true for us too.
It's not from a place of, oh, because it just keeps getting crazier and crazier. So like, why would I not believe it can't keep getting crazier? But it's the more that I have an interest in learning about certain things, and I'm sure there's still a bunch of stuff that if you ask me, I'm like, I don't really know how that happens because I don't have the interest in looking into it. But a lot of the stuff that, I don't know, like I sit and just like ponder. I'm now trying to do more research on just humans and our development and how our brains work and why we make certain decisions and evolution, like why that came to be in the first place. And it's like, oh, all of this kind of adds up. It's not like, oh, that's really random that that person is acting like that. It's like, well, yeah, follow the trail. Or we have, cancer is up. Well, yeah, follow the trail. It makes sense. Like there's nothing that what I used to think is just like everything is just happening to us. It's like, this is so crazy. Like why is infertility up? Why is cancer up? Why are people getting divorced so easily? Why are children, running into these issues? Like, oh, because of this. Oh, that's happening because of this.
Yeah.
That's like, yeah, it's not becoming as confusing to me. It's just more like, oh, what do we do about it then? But still understanding like you do have somewhat of a control or a...
You for sure have the control. At least that's my belief. I think like...
Which is so random, like what has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But like you said, like life is confusing. It's like, it isn't. It's not also very much not.
Yeah, I think it's confusing because of the emotions. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
I think we talked about it in the car this morning. Just like how it seems as I get older, it seems like emotions confuse things more and more and make decisions more and more difficult. To where if you take them out of it, the answers are usually pretty clear. Like they're not as crazy as it seems to be, but it's just you have so much emotion wrapped up into it. Like, well, it's hard to do this because of all these reasons. Like, well, that's because you're being super emotional about it. It's like if you were just completely logical and you went almost like or exactly what you're talking about, an equation. It's like, this is the result I want. So what do I need to do to equal that?
Right.
And it's like a lot of people tend to know what that is. But what they do with that equation is they just start putting all these emotions into it, and then it gets all blurry and foggy. It's like, no, you need to, like you want to build muscle, you need to eat more protein and lift weights. That's what That's what happens. That's what works. You need to do that consistently and be disciplined doing that and do it for a good length of time, not a week, a good length of time, 6 months to a year, and you're going to build muscle. It's like, it's not super difficult to figure out but then all the emotions come in. It's like, well, I don't like going to the gym on Monday, Wednesday, or Fridays, so that limits these days to these days. And well, I don't like doing like weightlifting exercises, so let me walk on the treadmill instead, and maybe that'll help build it's like you're just being so emotional about it. The equation, what
Right.
to do to get the result, but all of your wacky emotions and like you just needing to keep yourself feeling comfortable all the time gets in the way of the result that you want. So it's like, well, just get rid of the emotion and then you'll have the result you want. I think that's what, like, it seems like all of the like really famous, or not famous, really like the people that make a lot of money, they seem so emotionless because it's like, well, if I need to make a lot of money, like I just need to do these things.
Yeah.
It's like you look at like someone like Elon Musk, he seems so emotionless, or like Mark Zuckerberg, and it freaks us normal people out.
Right.
Because we're like, these
robots.
people are robots.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, because they don't have the emotions attached to everything. They just see this as a money-making equation, and then they just follow the steps and do it.
Yeah, well, it's like what they say, like your first $1 million is the hardest, but then after that, it's like, the equation, you know how to get there. So it's just like replicating the equation and kind of like putting your nose down and doing it. It's what you said today with the trading.
Yeah.
It's like you should have sold the stock and you didn't, and you knew it, you didn't because you just had and I mean, not like had a feeling, but you're let's just see.
Yeah.
Like that's emotion. There's no logic. You know when you want to sell it and why you sell it and what's the protocol that you put in place for yourself. But it's the emotion of like, but what if?
Yeah.
We play that like what if game all the time. Like I'm different, or I will be able to.
This does do what I want it to do.
Yeah,
it's like,
I'm going to be the anomaly. Probably not, but it is like it's that equation. I think that's where, because of the people that I'm listening to or getting the information from or reading from, and then like diving deeper into their articles, you can't have emotion when you're talking about science. So I'm just gathering the information, and it's like, oh, that plus that equals cancer, or like whatever it is. Like it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Like, that equals cancer.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like it's not this, well, because we feel this way, that's why people are like, relationship problems are getting worse. It's like it's just a feeling thing. It's like maybe, but there's also some science that's backing up why that's happening, and even like socially what's happening, and that's probably why it's leading into this, and people having all these diseases. And I was like, yeah, because we have plastic just floating around us all the time, and chemicals, and like why are we confused by any of this?
Yeah,
again, they're rationalizing it. It's like it's out there, you just need to know the equation of why it's happening, so then you know what you need to cut out, and whatever. But
I think it seems like as we continue to do this podcast, the more we're talking, the more we're coming to a realization, like for each other, or with each other, is like there needs to be, like, to have the results that you want and the solutions that you want, there needs to be more action, like emotionless action. It's like there's so much decision making that is based on emotions, and that seems to be fogging everything, and the decisions are poor, so then the results don't happen that you want. You get bad ones that it's like, I don't know, it seems like every podcast I don't know, we kind of end up talking about like quit being so emotional and then like take action.
Yeah, like, and I think as a society or world, we're getting deeper into our emotions.
Well, it's like you said, like science isn't emotional. Freaking look at the state of the world.
Yeah.
The science is extremely emotional. Like that's
because
how everybody's
it's tied up to emotions.
That's what everybody's doing with it.
Yeah.
Where it's like you need to make it not emotional and look at it for what it is, and then like come to your own solutions or beliefs without emotion with it.
Yeah.
But it's like and there's, I don't know, this is where I go crazy guy, but there's been this pendulum swing of you need to tell your feelings to everybody all the time and be emotional and let your emotions out because they've been suppressed by everybody your whole life. And it's like, well, this shit ain't working either. It's like everybody's so annoying now with their freaking emotions. It's like, you're not doing anything. You're not taking any action. You're just being an emotional ball sitting in the corner causing up a storm for everybody else. It's like, get your emotions in check and then take some action and do something. Everybody wants the freaking world to be fixed, but nobody's taking any action.
Well, and I was actually listening to, even about the emotion stuff, like, again, taking it back to an equation of what's the action that you're doing to work on it. It's like what I talked about last week of like the cool girl thing. It's like, I know just spiraling into my emotions or telling myself, stop being emotional. It's like, how do you stop? Like, that's the action, is just telling myself something. There's no action there. To where it's like, okay, start acting like a cool girl. What would a cool girl do right now? What would she say? What would she like? What would her body language be? What would her whatever? That I was listening to, it was a Rich Roll one, and it was also someone else on Modern Wisdom, a British guy. I don't know his name, but both of them were kind of talking about, like, we say we have all of these issues of, whether it's like not being confident or not having like good self-esteem or not having trust in yourself or the work ethic or, the guy said just like having a downward spiral of emotions that we seem to have, anxiety, all that stuff. Like, you have to do, it was actually on the Rich Roll, and they're like, okay, so you have bad self-esteem. What self-esteem building actions are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like, you actually have to change that. You're not going to just become a better person and go, oh, I like myself now. I have confidence. It's like, do something that makes you feel like you have control every day. Do something that's going to make you feel like, I'm good at that. And I'm going to do that and acknowledge that, hey, I'm good at that. That's like what you do with a kid. Like, that's self-esteem building. You can't just fall into having self-esteem.
Yeah. It's not
all
just
these things you have to build. And they were talking about that with a relationship too. Like, you have to break down why your relationship isn't working, and then not just go like, well, we just need to change, or we need to, you got to change for this. It's like, you actually have to put in protocols and like behavior adjustments, just like the self-esteem thing. What are you doing to build your self-esteem? What are you doing to listen better to your partner? What are you doing to show up with a better energy? What are you doing to show them, like, the whole, what that guy said of, don't let things fade, or like keep things that you're going to be able to sustain. That's something that I try to do every time you get home, of just like being there, being at the door, being happy, being excited to see you. It takes very little effort, but it's still taking an action of, I want to be someone that seems supportive and happy to be around. Well, I can't just be that. Like, that's not just like oozing out of me. I have to take action of, I want to show effort. There's the action. I want to build my self-esteem. I'm going to recognize when I do a good workout or do a good podcast or have a good conversation with you. That, again, the formula. There's a formula to how to get these outcomes. You just have to break down what it is.
And I think that how to get those outcomes is action. I think we do a lot of trying to like beat emotion with more emotion. It's like,
yeah,
I'm anxious and depressed and whatever, so I need to try to just be happy. It's like, well, you can't just like act an emotion. You know, they say like there's science to back up like just smile and it, you know, makes you happier and blah blah blah. It's like, okay, for how long?
because for me it gives me tension headaches. So
Yeah. 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 And that's where I'm like, for how long? For 10 seconds? For 20 minutes? It's like, if that person that's anxious and depressed is just trying to smile all day, they're taking action. So
Yeah.
I guess there is something
Yeah.
there. But how long is that really going to last? I think we do too much of the, well, I'm just going to try to beat this emotion with another emotion. Or I'm going to try to beat these thoughts with just more thoughts and overpower my other thoughts, to where there needs to be more action taking. And it's just piggybacking off of what you said. Find what is the outcome you want, and then finding these protocols to try to achieve that. And I think the basis of how you get there is by taking action. Do I need to go be active and go do something outside? I want a better relationship? Do I need to, you know, be nicer to them, say nicer things to them, compliment them more? Do I need to, like, if they need help with something, support them more, rather than going like, oh, I have my own things I have to do? It's like people just go, I want to, like you said, I just want a better relationship. So like, let's just try. It's like, that's not doing anything. And I think
you're not directing the focus. You're not directing the actions.
Yeah. You're not putting any actions in place at all. And I think that's a big thing of what we've talked about with this podcast is like, we don't want to just bring up all of these problems and have no solutions to them. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going hand in hand with like, we want to give actionable things to do that it's just furthering that point. So it's like, action is how you get shit done. Action is how you get better. It's also how you get worse. It's like, you're taking all this action by not doing anything. Like,
yeah.
That's action by not doing something. And you're going to get worse and worse doing that. And I think, I don't know, the more that I'm going about through life, it seems like having your emotions ingrained so much makes things so much worse, because it fogs all of the decision making, that I'm liking more the concept of emotionless action. Because how do you know what we talked about this morning too, like how do you know what you're choosing is right or wrong? Mm-hmm. And for me, a lot of that has been like, well, are you extremely emotional about this thing? Because you got all this weird crap wrapped up into it now. So now your decision that you make is going to be all weird and, you know, foggy. That it's like, you got to take the emotion out of it and make your decision from there, because you're just clearer headed. Mm-hmm. And you can see that equation better of what it actually is. Do you feel like people are too emotional? Because I feel like I'm always saying like, we're too emotional, but I don't really hear what you have to say about it.
Because I'm more the emotional one typically.
I mean, not necessarily.
Well, I used to be a lot.
Sure, but now, I mean, I don't think you're that emotional.
Okay. I think this is one of those things in society that has changed pretty rapidly. I think because we were just talking about how, you know, when we're in high school and I want to talk about feelings, I want to talk about emotions. It's like, what? Yeah. Like, we don't talk about that. I don't even know what I feel, let alone to be able to have a conversation about it. That bringing up your emotions and all that kind of stuff was embarrassing or weird. That now it's like people don't have anything but that to talk about. Of this is why I'm angry about this. I mean, it's like I had a thing happen in my class the other day of a girl. I'm not going to say what it is, but like a girl said something and had such this reaction to someone else saying that they liked this person in the music world. And she had such this aggressive response of, why that person is bad and they did this and da 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 and this is why I believe in this. And like the level of angst and determination of her emotions, I think that's what was freaky. Like the determination of how she felt was so strong, but then like the topics of what she was talking about should be so above her age level that it was like, oh, you're in like 6th grade, 7th grade. You shouldn't even know what those things are, or like what allegations that would be or what that would mean. And it's like she is not only is aware of it, but like has a feeling about it.
Yeah.
That I think we're seeing more of that now. So it's like, oh, whoa, we're trying out a new thing here of feeling out emotions, and we're doing it very aggressively.
Bad, yeah.
And like everybody's doing it. And I think emotions are supposed to be chaotic and crazy and maybe like in the moment and passionate per se. But it's like, you're only supposed to sprinkle that in on certain occasions. Like that shouldn't be your main drive. And I feel like a lot of it, that's the main drive right now.
Yeah, totally. That does seem like it seems like society's main drive. It's the emotion. You know, it's like, maybe we romanticize it a little bit, or I do, of like what it used to be back in the day. It was just like everybody's trying to do what's best for their family and like build a good life and whatever, to where now it's like what it seems like is everybody's trying to tell everybody else what to do all the time. That for that to be different or switch, kind of like what you're saying of just like, we're trying out this new, like, let's all be emotional and see how this works. It's like everybody's in therapy now and everybody's okay with talking about every little problem they ever have to everybody else. And it's like, oh, this seems to not be working very well, because everybody, like, anxiety's up, depression's up.
Right.
Like everything is worse in that, because probably because you're just constantly focused and thinking about it, where it's like, go do something hard so you don't have to think about it. And
that's where I hope that everything kind of naturally swings and then finds a middle spot. I hope at some point we find a middle ground, and it's the simple rule that everything kind of goes under of like, there's going to be a few bad eggs that ruin it for everybody. Like there's probably a lot of people in general that it's like they're getting great things. They're learning themselves. They're going to therapy and they're changing, and like they're taking what they're learning and actually adapting and changing their lives. Not just, well, I have a session, I talk about it for an hour and talk about all my problems, but then I don't do anything with it. It's like, I just have more things to complain about the next time I go back. It's like, you're using it wrong. That's like, this is supposed to better you and supposed to help you change and just be a guide for the things that you do need to work on. Because like you said, they're romanticizing the old ways. Okay. But also, it's like you talk about our relationships, like we can talk about our feelings and what we think we want, and what, you know, like, you want this in life, I want this in life, how to make it work together. Like back then there was no talking about that. It was, this is how it's going to be and this is how we're going to do it. Don't bring up that you're unhappy in this marriage. Don't bring up how you're struggling as a parent, or don't bring up these things like that. It was so far removed from emotions. That's like, don't do any of that.
Yeah. Well, I think like you said, how there's a pendulum swing. I think when it swung, like it naturally hits that middle. That there was a time where it was like everything was humming, everything's good.
Yeah.
But then it just keeps going, and it gets weird. And I don't know, maybe it's just because of the podcast that we watch or listen to, but it does seem like it's coming back a little bit of just like, people don't want to talk about politics with each other, or religion, or like, I don't know. It seems like there's a little bit of like, everybody's just kind of tired.
Sure.
We're just kind of tired of like, I know, I just don't care about your problem now. It's like, I'm just trying to work and make money and like provide. And
this is another example to me of like the human behavior. And if you understand it, you'll be able to maybe dissect why it's happening in certain areas. That it's like every age bracket kind of experiences similar things, regardless of when you were dealing with it in the 50s or you're dealing with it right now. A 15-year-old in both of those decades, they're still experiencing somewhat of the same thing just based off of their development. That's like every teen, like high school or that age group, we've all had something that we're really passionate about or fired up about or have angst over. Like that's a part of that level of development is when you're a teenager, your brain is basically at the same process of if you're a toddler, you just know more, but your emotions are just as big as when you were 2 years old, but you have the knowledge of all these things. So it's like, yeah, the same way that you got upset with your sibling because they stole your toy and that level of emotion, you're experiencing that level of emotion again, but now you're going, oh, well, this person in this, position is doing this to me. Like, oh, the teacher is doing this to me or my coach is doing this. Like you're experiencing a 2-year-old level of emotion, but about real life things. So it just seems crazier.
Which then the parent is like, you're worried about it's like everybody's just kind of looking at the younger version going like, oh, just wait. It gets way crazier. Like that's not even a big deal.
To where you hear stories from maybe our parents. It's like they were, staying out later than what they were told they should, and they were drinking or doing drugs or like whatever, like doing stuff that was against the rules. That nowadays I think that age bracket doesn't have a lot of rules placed on them, so now they're breaking. They still want to be rebels, so it's like, what can I rebel against? It's like, my gender, I'm going to just rebel against myself, or I'm going to rebel against like, oh, you're wearing this color. Well, that color means this. So now I'm going to like have a problem with that. It's like they want to have friction, but no, not the appropriate friction isn't given to them.
Giving them anymore.
But their development level is still, but I still want these things. I still want to act this way. I still want to feel something.
Yeah.
But the tangible things that they're working with just right now is just a little bit funkier than what is in the past.
Yeah, which is like, I don't know. I think you hit it on the head, and I think it's even more like with older people, like everybody too. It's like we kind of want friction in some areas, but as things become more and more acceptable
and easy, and life becomes easier.
Yeah, and there's nothing to really have friction about. It's like what we are trying to make friction about is just crazier and crazier and crazier.
Yeah.
And just like starts to not make sense. It's like, why are we having friction about, like, this is not something that needs to have friction. Why are we doing this? Like, it just has, like you said, the pendulum, it's like, it's come to the point where it's like, this is just so silly. Like we should have friction. We've gotten away from having friction about things that actually matter and are serious.
Yeah.
And but you were also right too when you said like there's a few bad eggs or few bad people that kind of ruin everything. It's like, look at what social media has done, and still like it's not a lot of people. It's just those people are so loud, which is not anything new. Everybody's saying that now, but it's like we go for a beach walk and pretty much everybody we see says hi and smiles, and we keep walking. Or like there's not interactions at public places where it's like it's social media. Like people are still generally pretty cool and good and nice and don't want to cause trouble and whatever. But it's like if you have your head buried in social media, you think the whole world is collapsing around you.
Yeah.
To where if you don't, it's like, this is the same.
Yeah.
Nothing's really changed.
I would love to be just a fly on the wall in like a middle school classroom. Like I would love to hear, or like when friends are hanging out of that age group, I would love to hear what they talk about.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed certain changes with kids, but not super crazy like you would assume it would be based off of what we see. Like,
well, of course it's the parents or like we're paying attention to all that shit more than the kids are. The kids are still worried. The high schoolers and middle schoolers are still worried about like what boy likes me or what girl likes me.
But that's what I think is different. It's like they are also getting shown a lot of, it's like I said, like what the girl said in my class. It's like, you shouldn't even know anything about that or what that is.
Yeah, but I think that's still like, I don't know. To me, at least, it still seems like she might be the exception. She's not the majority.
Sure.
You know, to where it's like those kids' algorithms is still just like, I don't know, stupid TikTok dances and like Taylor Swift and shit. You know, it's not like the hardcore political stuff that all the parents are watching and dealing with.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh my God, my kids are seeing this and I need to like be on top of them all the time and then go yell at their teachers for doing these things and teaching about this. And it's like, it's the parents that are fucking it all up. It always is. It's always the parents. It's not, the kids are just doing what kids do. And then you got a couple of them that are like, wait, what is this? What's going on?
Sure.
And the parents are like, well, I'll tell you all about it. Come here. Let's put our tinfoil hats on. Like, there's always just going to be crazy parents. But I think majority of kids are like, I don't care about that. I just want to talk to, you know, fucking Jimmy about the girls.
Why did I know you were going to say Jimmy? I literally said Jimmy in my head.
Because we both want Jimmy John's and we know it.
That was cool. It's like, we don't even know Jimmy. It's not like, we have never said
Jimmy
that name.
John. We know Jimmy.
Yeah, but that's like, it's like we didn't go to school with a Jimmy. It's not like, oh yeah, that's when you think of that guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I'm getting way too excited about how you both thought of the same name, but I just thought that was kind of weird.
I think it's not to say that like kids are different. They're changing. It's not what it used to be. That's always true, but that's always been true. When our parents were kids, it was different. And that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like it's always going to continue to be different than when you grew up. Yeah. And you're always going to think that when you grew up, it was a little bit better and whatever. So the
topics are just a little bit mixed or different. Like you said, like you're still worried about who has a crush on you at school. Now the kids are just, it's like before you were worried about, well, I'm going to, you know, bike to that person's house or go see them. It's like no kid would ever do that now. But now they're dealing with like, well, I don't know what their sexuality is, or I don't know if like I need to be
I'm curious how common that actually is though. Because again, is it just parents that are pushing it and then there's like a couple extreme cases? It's like, you know, I don't know if majority of kids are in, you know, dealing with that or into that. I mean, I'm sure it's a lot more than it used to be.
I don't know. I don't know. Because like what they actually understand about it and what they think is, dare I say, like just trendy. But like I know like a lot of the students, like if they follow me on Instagram and I like go to theirs to see who it is, a lot of them will have like their pronouns on it or have like their
sure, but we also all wore of what fighting necklaces in middle school.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't know if it's like something like that or their understanding like in their bio when they have their preferences. Like, do they understand what that means?
Probably not.
Or is it just like something that they do? Can you imagine doing that?
I mean, you were a loser if you wore ankle socks as a boy in middle school.
Oh,
you had to have like
the tall Nikes.
Yeah, the tall black Nikes. You couldn't even have white. That meant you were a loser too. It's like these things just come and go, and that's where I'm like, the freaking parents. It's like they are so drama. It's the parents. It's not the kids. The kids aren't coming up with these ideas.
You don't think?
No. Hell no. The kids are not coming up with these ideas. It's the parents. The kids are worried about what boy or girl likes me or doesn't like me and do I like them and who my friends are, and it's their own little, you know, weird socialization government thing going on of who's the most popular and who's trying to fight for it and who's the fastest. And it's like there's always this weird thing going on in schools that's their own unique thing. And then it's like I don't think they're paying attention to, it's the parents. I don't know. I 100% think it's the parents. The kids are not coming up with these crazy thoughts and ideas that are so prevalent now. Mm-hmm. They're not. I mean, when we were in high school or middle school and the election was happening, fucking nobody in the class knew who these people were.
Sure.
Nobody knew who they were. It was like, this is what this guy wants to do. This is what this lady wants to do. and they're on this side, and these are what these people want to do, and it's like
they're this animal and they're this animal.
yeah, exactly. And it was like, okay, like who the hell is this guy? Like what is? And people are like, well, that's a weird name. I don't want to vote for a guy who's got a weird name.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just pick the other person. It's like now it's like the kids have to know. The parents are just pressuring the kids of like, this is who we vote for, and this is who we like and believe in, and blah blah blah. It's like, you think the kid is going home and turning on CNN? No, they want to go home and turn on fucking, you know, what, I don't even know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or some shit. You know, it's like they don't want to watch CNN. They're not going home and doing that.
Yeah, I would love to know. Do you remember doing that? I don't know if you were in my class or not. I don't think you were, like a civics class. Like it was like a lot of, okay, I don't know if you were in my class or not, but we did like a debate kind of, like if you thought.
You would know if I was in your class.
Well, because it was in the same room that we had a different class in, that I don't know if like, were you in both of those classes or were you just in that class that was in the same room? But we did a debate kind of where it's like, okay, these are left-leaning arguments. These are right-leaning arguments. Pick what side you generally agree with what. And back then it's like we kind of had an idea of like, well, a lot of us were like, both of them? Can we be somewhere in the middle? Like, can I kind of bounce back side to side depending on what the topic is? Because we just have a list of like, okay, now we're talking about abortion. It's like, go for it. It was just like, light each other up.
Yeah.
And I remember there was one person that was just a little bit more religious, specifically with that, or very religious. And it was like the whole room just
Yep,
lit
you're right.
But I would love to know, like, what would that dynamic look like now? Because, like, we were kind of just, like, bullshitting. Like, well, if I thought of this or I believed in this, this is maybe how I would argue it. This is how I would say it. But it wasn't like, this is our core value of what we believe in.
Yeah.
I wonder if it would still be like that or if kids would actually have, like, a stance.
My guess would be they'd have a little bit better of an idea than we did because the parents are probably talking about it a lot.
Sure.
That when those topics get brought up, they probably go, oh, this one, because I hear my parents talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
So they maybe, like, you know, if you get the list of which ones you agree with or whatever, they probably aren't sitting there thinking like, which side do I? They're like, oh, well, this one because that's what my parents say. This one because that's what my parents say. This one because that's what my parents say. And they just go, I don't know, they just go down the list, I think, fairly quickly. They not much thought because it's like, it's just so in their face all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what sucks is it's like, I don't think at all it's the kids' fault. The kids would not be interested in this shit. They would not come up with these ideas. That's not what they're into. It's the parents that are forcing it down their throats. And then it's like, well, we can't hang out with that family because they believe in these things. That's like, you are just so out to lunch.
Sure.
And that's why everybody's like, these kids nowadays and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, it's your fault. You're the parent and you didn't do a good job.
Sure. Sure.
And now you're blaming the kids. It's like, who do you think raised the kids? The people older than them. That's you.
Yeah.
Poor kids.
What?
Poor kids.
Yeah. Some kids are good. That's why I like.
A lot of them are.
A lot of them are great, but.
Most of them. Most of them that we teach, I think, are.
Yeah. They're solid.
Like, you guys are cool.
Yeah.
Like, you're chill, you're normal. And that's where I'm like, oh, it's the parents that are weird. Because this kid, when they're in this class, they're a normal kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, they just want to talk about how they went to a birthday party this weekend and it was fun and they had cake and they did this and that and, you know, rode dirt bikes and stuff and jumped on trampolines. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. Well, it's like I even brought up the Halloween
like,
thing.
Did you see what Trump said? No kid is walking to dance class saying that.
Well, it's like the, you know, right now, it's like everybody's telling us what their Halloween costume is going to be and how they're so excited about that and all that. you're not going to have the kid that's like, well, our family doesn't do Halloween because you know why.
Yeah, you can fill in the blanks.
It's like, yeah, they maybe don't celebrate Halloween, but again, it's like, it's because their parents' agenda or their parents have a reasoning or a feeling about it or whatever. But yeah, it's like the kids aren't putting that together.
No.
They're going, I don't know, these kids dress up and we don't.
Yeah.
But yeah. Kids will be kids.
Yeah. I'm good.
Me too. Yeah.
I got my yelling out for an hour.
Yeah. I'm surprised that you didn't hear all my stomach grumbles.
Your stomach grumbles.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm good.
I feel like as I get older, like every year I get like 10 years older than I was before. I just feel like I'm becoming an older man every...
Been 26 for less than a month.
Yeah. I just feel like I sound more and more like a grandpa every year.
Yeah. Well, it's like
last year I was 40. This year I'm 50.
It's like I said on the beach yesterday. Like, this podcast is forcing us to change fast and like adjust how we are fast, because I don't feel comfortable talking about things unless I am somewhat practicing it myself. And each week we got to figure out a new topic or like analyze something else that we can talk about. So it's like, that means we are forcing ourselves to actually do these things and work on these things. And we brought up a couple podcasts ago about like the analyzing yourself and not justifying. I feel like we have put that into like such a high level gear that's like everything we're doing now. We're like, are you justifying that? What's the reason for that?
Yeah.
Make sense.
It's very prevalent in the conversations now.
It's like every topic that we're talking about, it's like I'm wanting to practice that because otherwise I feel phony.
Yeah.
But then that's like, oh, you're doing this quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe that's why you also feel like you're aging too.
Yeah.
It's like feel like I'm developing with new ways and trying new ways of being frequently fast and like, I don't know.
Yeah, I just
you don't have a lot of space for the bullshit stuff because like, oh, I got to get better at this. My emotions, you don't belong anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like with that, I hear myself like, don't be so emotional. Stop being so emotional. I'm like, okay, Grandpa, you're 90.
Yeah.
Like, that's such an old person thing to say. It's like, it doesn't matter. Stop being emotional.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing.
I do too. I'd rather be a grandpa than freaking whiny 16-year-old like I used to be.
Yeah. Well, with age comes wisdom and I think understanding that it's kind of like, well, can I just get that without being old yet?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah,
that's kind of the goal. That. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, old lady.